Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Chris Langham. In the news this week, in Hollywood, after winning the Stuntman of the Year award, Chuck Stevens collects his prize and drives it home. Taking a break from his charity work, Bob Geldof shows off the yacht he bought with this year's royalties from his album sales. And in Hull, the Vegetarian Society regrets letting John Prescott use their toilet after a fundraising lunch. On Ian Hislop's team is a man about whom the Daily Mail wrote, part of his appeal has always been his microscopic attention span. I know the problem. Please welcome... No, it's gone. Sorry, Ross Noble. And with Paul Merton tonight is a Conservative MP described in a political profile as a restless Thatcherite beaver. No, I'm going to have trouble getting that image out of my head. Please welcome Alan Duncan, MP. And eccentrically, we start with round one. Ian and Ross, pay attention, I'll be asking questions later.
Is the Pied Piper there?
Over the cliff we go. There we are. Education, education, education. He can spell it. I don't know if he can. Oh, what's that? Smoking.
That's actually man on fire there.
And they're eating. Is that banned? Eating in pubs?
Yeah, talking, eating and closing glass doors. When impersonating Noel Edmonds there, the man in a very bad jumper.
I'm sure Alan will have a view on this, but I mean, the idea is that after 8 years of the Labour Party, they've worked out that what they need is grant-maintained schools.
Brilliant.
Which they abolished in '97.
You know, it's so good, I'm just going to be a Tory, you know, straight back. Can you do Tony Blair? I'd like to do him, actually. Would you? Yeah. I mean, do him over.
You heard it here first.
According to the government lapdog Times, freedom for schools and power for parents equals better standards for all. How will this parent power manifest itself?
Parents will have the right to choose the schools. So if you want your child to go to a good school and there isn't one, you'll just sit there and get annoyed.
A better idea would be to put all the kids in and you just choose which kid you want at the end of it. You know, they all get an education, you go, he looks quite brainy, I'll have him.
Or choose the kid's school, but don't tell the kid which school it is.
Yeah.
And then they have to work
They
it
have
out.
to work
If he can
out.
find his way there.
Yeah.
If he can find his way there, he gets an O-level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what about the other Labour botch this week? You mentioned it.
Smoking.
The smoking.
Yeah.
The Cabinet are absolutely riven on this, apparently.
That's right,
Some
yes.
people want total ban on smoking everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
And others say, why not? It's a right to smoke. So they've come up with a compromise agreement which they don't understand.
Right. Tessa Joel thinks smokers should be kept in a sealed room, and the others think they should be allowed out occasionally. Eat some coronary-inducing pub food from time to time.
But you can't eat and smoke, is that right?
Well, you can, if you keep the fag in the corner of your mouth.
It's a real good split in the Cabinet, actually. You've got Puffer Reid, who actually used to do 40 a day and has now given up. And you've got Mumsy Hewitt, you know, Madame Mogadon, saying, look, you know, we've got to ban it everywhere. So it's a real good sort of punch-up.
What would you do? What would the Tories do? Ooh. Would it be the freedom to smoke?
Well,
absolutely.
Everywhere at all times?
Liberty.
Ken Clark could come round your house and offer them
Yeah,
for nothing. At a discount price.
Have a couple
He'll be puffing through the letterbox, won't he?
Yeah, have a couple for the kids.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. This is Labour's vision of a better Britain in which better educated children will be able to binge drink in smoke-free pubs. This week, Tony Blair turned up for a meeting and a photo opportunity with concerned parents in South London. According to the Times, one local man's son, Urine, who's 10 years old, is due to start secondary school next year. Good luck, Urine. So important, isn't it, to give a child a good start in life? Paul and Alan, here's yours.
Our future leader.
David Cameron.
Put your hat on.
Latest ASBO. That's David Cameron again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's David Davis. They've got 6 weeks, or now 5 weeks, I suppose, to convince the Conservative electorate which one should be the leader.
Why are you supporting Cameron, then?
Well,
I mean, it's not
suppose-
just because he... Oops.
We're now so classless we can have an Etonian as leader again. That's the key thing.
You think he's going to win?
I think he will. I've become a complete addict.
But you stood yourself, didn't you? So you weren't a Cameron addict a few weeks ago.
I was
You
jealous.
thought you might win. But you didn't get any votes, though, did you?
No, none. Zero.
I mean, I wasn't going to bring... Well, I was going to bring it up.
Where did David Davis go this week to meet the people?
Tooting.
Well done, yes.
That's where he sort of he grew up, and he's gone back there to prove that he's the only Tory candidate who can win seats in you know, the north and working class areas.
I'll get up north. I'll go to Tooting.
Oh, he's starting.
He can't be the leader.
No.
He tried to engage teenagers in conversation, which is never an easy thing to do. And,
How did it go?
Apparently he opened with, look away now if you cringe easily. So, you're just chilling, are you?
Well, there you are.
How did David Cameron try to ingratiate himself with kids in
He
the
said,
in the hood?
What ho, kids?
Sort of hunting, fishing and tooting.
You don't seem to be put off by the sound of booing. Is it something you've got used to over the years?
You taught me all I know.
David Cameron appeared on a community radio station called Life FM.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shall we have a look?
Before you go, can we have a shout out to the Life FM and Life FM listeners?
Yeah, this is David Cameron. I'm on Life FM. This is a great project. This is a great community. Keep backing it. Keep it real. Yeah.
And then he went on to big up the Ken Clark Massive. He's had a very busy week, David Cameron, especially pressing the flesh. He met some very nice, friendly people, as we can see in this next clip, enjoying meeting the voters.
Listen, you're going to be the next to be black.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's not the message. Anyway, good to see you.
God bless you, yeah. Oh, thank you, man. I've been following the news, you know. What do you do? Tell it big up your past, brother. That's nonsense.
You're right.
We've all been bad boys.
Did you catch that laugh? This fantastic, sort of strained... Should we hear it again?
Yes, please.
Exactly the same as Blair's laugh, really. It's the same pitch.
Did anyone see how David Cameron was pictured in the Daily Telegraph this week? There he is. Oh. He obviously lives in quite a bad Freeview reception area.
No, that's actually one of his skills. He's able, like a peacock.
That's
He can literally... What happens, whenever he wants to just woo the voters, all he does is he just goes like that, and that flies out from his head. He can actually make any London landmark appear from the back of his head. Yeah, it's true. You're lucky it wasn't Big Ben, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Did you know his dad's only got one leg?
No, I didn't know that.
That's true. I didn't know that. But I've read so much about him over the past week that I now know that his dad's only got one leg. Apparently, he used to take it off and polish his shoe and put it back on. Essentially, his dad's a pirate. And quite frankly, I mean, I don't want to help the man's cause or anything, but if somebody just, instead of messing around and going to the communities and trying to keep it real, if you just turned up and just went, all right, my dad's a pirate, bosh, job done. Do you know what I mean? You might as well just end it there.
Who let something slip in front of Andrew Marr this week?
Mr. Major.
Yes.
You see, he was very clever. He said, I'm not going to endorse either of the two Davids. And then he said, but I want to see in the cabinet me, and Liam Fox and David Davis. So it's a bit of a giveaway.
Yeah, shall we
where
see
he was
it?
starting. Yeah.
But I live in hope that when we have selected one of the two Davids, that we'll have a shadow cabinet that includes Ken Clark, Malcolm Rifkind, William Hague, David Davis.
Whoops. You were a David Davis supporter originally.
I toyed and I dallied, but I never actually declared.
When did you actually shift your allegiance?
Party conference.
Was it during the conference speech?
Yes.
Yeah?
A major contribution.
I think we've got you watching him at the conference speech.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Really meant, in the most deprived areas of our inner cities, more drug pushers.
I think more to the point, have you only got one tie?
I think the cufflinks are the same as well, aren't they?
Hang on, that suit looks familiar. Are you essentially a homeless man?
In The Sun this week, David Cameron made a point of denying that he was upper middle class, pointing out that he's often to be found in a spit and sawdust tapas bar. I'll have some balsamic vinegar, please, Enrique, and you can leave the bottle. David Cameron is a man of many talents. Not a lot of people can do this with their arm. Finally this week, man of the people, David Davis, accused the BBC of bias. Chippy working-class twat. Right, Ian and Ross.
Yes.
Oh, the lovely Cherie there.
10 seconds of her, that'll be expensive. Oh, she's signing a book. Who shall I make it to? The bank. Oh, lovely. Look, she's waving. 5 grand. She's in trouble again because she went to Australia in order to make money for a charity, and she went to this dinner, and the charity raised £80,000, and only 7,000 went to the charity. Because Cherie's fee came out of it, and then the organiser, and then the expenses, and the charity's ending up going bankrupt.
But to be fair, vol-au-vents are expensive. No, you can't, you know.
It's slightly odd doing a sort of charity fundraiser and then being paid for it. Save these poor sick children, but hey, come on. 10 grand for me.
Because there has been an investigation going on.
Yeah, the
because of
Australians
this.
have looked into it.
And the cost of organising the event has been described as unspecified. And Cherie Blair's fee, which was undisclosed... Quite a thorough investigation, then. Do you know what the audience thought of her after dinner speech, by the way?
They thought she was rubbish.
Boring.
Boring.
Boring. They and in fact, there was a quote from someone who was there who said, I thought Cherie was very poor. Obviously, he wasn't aware of the size of her fee.
They hated the fact she kept plugging this book.
And she also got in trouble because she went to a supermarket at the same time and they said, oh, you can help yourself to a few items. And she helped herself to 5 boxes of groceries.
Yeah,
it was goods, wasn't it? It was sporting goods.
Whatever it was, she's a greedy cow. That's all you need to know.
Basically, this is the news that Cherie Blair's Australian lecture tour is under investigation after a charity received only 9% of the money raised at a gala dinner. According to The Times, Cherie Blair was paid £17,000 to speak at a high-class banquet in Australia. It's hard to believe, isn't it? High-class banquet in Australia. Paul and Alan, something for you here.
Oh, parrots.
Yes, parrots.
One of them's dead now, I think.
And this is where I think they were being held in quarantine, and this is the flu vaccine that the parrots will have to take. And that's what happens if they don't take it.
Why don't the government scientists know which bird had the virus?
Well, because they're all protecting each other. Somebody's saying I might have done, I might have maybe, you know, wasn't quite sure, wasn't there, I want a cracker, that sort of thing, you know.
What sophisticated system did the owner of the quarantine shed use to test for the presence of
How are
bird
you
flu?
feeling? Are you still a pretty boy?
Answer me.
While we're on the subject of preventing the spread of diseases, can anyone tell me which piece of famous advice is celebrating its 60th anniversary this week?
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases.
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases. Catch them in your handkerchief was the title song, I suppose, from a public information film of the time. And the Central Office of Information has actually released a lot of these original films on the internet.
Can we see them?
We can indeed see one.
You may have met a few people who like doing this. Nuisance, I agree, but pretty hard. You have certainly seen problems like this. They're not a nuisance. They're a real danger. Stop it, you. Stop it. Come here. What do you think you're up to? You've probably infected thousands of people already. What do you think this is for? Never mind. Close your eyes. Handkerchief. Sneeze. Sneeze. Handkerchief. Now you can carry on.
It looks like we should be worried about pepper as well, then.
Yeah, well, that's the point. It halted the flu epidemic at the time, but I'm old enough to remember the great 1954 pepper shortage, which was a powerful effect, that film. Right, this is the ongoing story, unfortunately, of bird flu, which took a sinister turn this week when an imported parrot died in quarantine. On the BBC website, one insider was prepared to speak to the media, but only if he was guaranteed anonymity. Provision is being made for people found to have the infection. They'll be kept in special hospitals where, if they need the attention of the nurse, they have to climb up a little ladder and ring a bell. So, at the end of that round, 4 points each.
Oh, very good.
And so to round 2. Just one headline between you this week. Your money or your wife's?
It's Galloway and the oil for money.
Because that was in his wife's account, apparently.
According to the American Senate hearing, let's not get him libeling us. Cost the Telegraph 150 grand to say that. So I'm certainly not going to repeat that.
Well, I think you're fairly safe saying it's the US Senate's allegation that George Galloway lied to them. What's the nub of their accusation?
It's oil for money.
We're saying it's true.
It's under Saddam, did he benefit from this oil scheme? And he says he didn't. They said you did, and the money was paid into your wife's account.
Yes.
And he's saying, you know, no, it wasn't. I don't know what they did. So it's basically the Americans saying Galloway lied.
Yes.
But as I said, he has sued about this in this country, and, you know, hey, I don't want to repeat this stuff live on television and give any credence to the fact that he may well have done that, or not.
Is George Galloway frightened by these allegations?
He's got this sort of complex. He's got this complex going around saying, charge me, prosecute me. Does it all the time, doesn't it? Prosecute
That was terrific.
me. That's what he wants. Yeah,
Is he Billy Connolly?
Did
he go, you know...
This is the ongoing saga of the American Senate's investigation into allegations that MP George Galloway profited from the UN Oil for Food programme. Despite his protestation to the contrary, US politicians are convinced that George Galloway is in possession of several thousand barrels of oil, which is presumably why the Americans are attacking him.
Alan made a lot of money out of oil, didn't you?
Ah, yes.
Who did you trade with?
No one naughty.
What? Not the Saudis?
Never.
The Iraqis?
20 years ago, 30 years ago.
That was a long time ago, isn't it?
Haven't done it for ages. Haven't done it for ages.
Were you in oil in a small way? Were you a sardine? I just love that joke. It's a public domain joke. You get it in Christmas cracker, but I felt the need to say it. I feel a lot better now.
But you were in oil in a big way, though, weren't you?
Mackerel. The joke just keeps going.
When you say you were only in oil in a small way, I mean...
No, those were his words.
No, they were
my
Paul's
words.
It was Paul's.
Yeah.
Led to the hilarious sardine joke.
I wanted to get round to what a dodgy business it is that you were in and how you made your money, but
in a small
we
way,
went for sardines.
Does that include Pakistan, when you use the word small, though?
Yes.
Because Pakistan's one of the people you did business with.
I did.
Yeah. Anything that you wanted to add, Ian?
No, I'm fine at the moment, thanks, Chris.
All right.
I notice you're not asking me.
I sold Kiora to Kuwait. I was just struck by the similarity of the words.
Ross, is there anything that you'd like to share with the group?
It's interesting you say that, Paul, because funnily enough, I was involved in a dodgy deal in the Congo, strangely with the popular drink Umbongo.
Returning perhaps unwisely to the Galloway story, pro-war journalist Christopher Hitchens is probably Galloway's fiercest critic, and the pair have a bitter, long-running feud. Galloway called Hitchens a drink-sodden ex-Trotskyist popinjay who has metamorphosed from a butterfly back into a slug, leaving a trail of slime. Hitchens said Galloway was a short-arsed sub-Leninist East End carpetbagger so far up the posterior passage of a murderous dictator that one can hardly glimpse his Gucci buckles. At which point their respective girlfriends piled in shouting, "Leave it, baby, it's not worth it." Round 3 is the odd one out round. Ian and Ross, your 4 are John Humphreys, Billy Graham Kevin Peterson and Dave Lee Travis.
Oh, Dave Lee Travis, he's the hairy cornflake. Billy Graham, there's a breakfast cereal called Golden Grahams.
Oh, this is getting good.
Yeah. This is where it falls down.
No.
Right.
There was an advertising campaign for milk. Watch out, there's a Humphrey about. John Humphreys, there we are.
Oh.
Yep.
And then the other cereal, the Silver Kevins.
Oh, his hair looks like shredded wheat. There you go. There you go. So here's the hairy cornflake, Golden Grahams, milk, and that... Oh, there's not an odd one out there, is there?
Is it to do with being censored? Or sacked?
I have to say, you're alarmingly close to getting it.
So it is breakfast.
It is breakfast cereals. It was so obvious, Mr. Poirot.
Yeah. Oh, well, Billy Graham, Frosty's ads.
No, there is genuinely...
Yeah.
Golden
I've eaten Golden Grahams. I may be out of touch, but I've eaten a Golden Graham.
John Humphreys is the odd one out.
Why?
Because his name was used to advertise milk, and all the others' names have been used to advertise breakfast cereal.
Well, your answer is correct, but for completely the wrong reasons. His face is now appearing on an egg cup. And you know why they've done this?
Children in need.
There you go, children in need. John Humphreys, the one on the left.
I thought that was his thumb, and I realised it was an egg.
Kevin Peters. What cereal is he?
Special K is his nickname.
What? Because he looks a bit special.
Would someone bear me out? Ian, honestly, there is a cereal called Special K.
I know there's a cereal.
Kevin Peterson had a brief fling with the model Caprice, but very quickly dropped her, so no change there then. In 1993, Radio 1 DJ Dave Lee Travis resigned live on air. He later had to put it in writing because no one was listening. Right. So, Paul and Alan, David Livingstone, the rector of Stiffkey, Roy of Siegfried and Roy, and Alan Duncan MP.
Well, the rector of Stiffkey, I know about him because he was killed by a lion. And obviously there's a link there with... Which one is that? Roy, did you say?
No, he doesn't look at all like
Roy
Siegfried.
So this is about people who have been attacked, really. So David Livingstone lived in Africa. Big cat's there. So, Alan, have you been attacked by a big cat?
A big cat. No, but I might have been.
Not the sort of thing you'd forget.
Was it dark?
Well, it wouldn't be, because we've got one in Rutland. There's a panther, and every 2 weeks, the Rutland panther is sighted. You know...
It's not a nickname for you, is it?
I'm
awful feeling it was.
I'm afraid I'd be the Pink Panther. But I find it, and it's definitely there, because some very respectable people have seen it. We tried to trap it once. I helped sponsor the local sort of farmers who got this cage, and they got female panther hormone type smelly things, put them in the cage, and it didn't work.
So is Alan the only one who's hunted for big game, and all the others have been hunted by big game?
Very good, yes, indeed. David Livingstone was mauled by a lion in 1844. What else happened to him that year?
He died.
1840, is that the year he met Stanley?
No, it's the year he met his wife and got married, actually. Would you like to see a photograph of his wife?
Yes, please.
Oh, my God! Looks like a man!
This is an undercover policeman. This is not... this is not his real wife. I mean, I know this is the 19th century, but women haven't evolved that much, have they?
The scary thing about this is, if I do that, it looks like me.
The answer is that they've all been mauled by big cats, apart from Alan Duncan, who tried to catch one. According to the Times, Alan vowed to track down and capture the elusive beast of Rutland, a mysterious cat terrorising the area. Mind you, Alan also vowed he would one day be the Tory leader. I know which one my money's on. Las Vegas showman Roy Horn of Siegfried and Roy fame was mauled by one of his own tigers in 2002. On that fateful night, Roy felt a sudden weight on his back, hot breath in his ear and teeth sinking into his neck, at which point he said, "Not now, Siegfried, we've got a show to do." Which means at the end of this round, it's Ian and Ross with 7, Paul and Alan with 8. time now for the missing words round. Our guest publication this week is Potato Storage International, the leading potato storage magazine, whose main contributor is Jan de Weerd. So here we go with watching weekend TV makes children what?
Learn the differences between ant and deck.
Fat. Couch potatoes.
I think you've said it. But you did say fat, didn't
I
you?
did say fat, yeah. If it's right, I said it.
Tory policy in a nutshell.
Yeah. Next, what causes 50% shrinkage?
Cutting things in half.
Potato blight.
The answer actually
Thick
is...
chips.
Potato storage causes 50% shrinkage. This is from an article about the problems of storing potatoes. In my experience, it can be quite unnerving going into a barn full of potatoes, as the eyes tend to follow you around the room. Finally, pass the what, Fido?
Port. Duchy on the left-hand side.
Parcel.
Sick bag.
Flea collar.
Spud. GCSEs.
Pass the soap, Fido. This is a competition in New Zealand to find the thriftiest shopper. One money-saving suggestion is to take a shower with your dog. Or better still, why not just kill your dog and sell him for the meat? That brings us to the end of the show. And the final scores are as follows. Ian and Ross have 8, but Paul and Alan have 9. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
After 2-week ordeal, killer budgie returns baby.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Ross Noble, Paul Merton and Alan Duncan MP, and I leave you with news that in Eastbourne at the annual Women's Institute convention, there's a difference of opinion over the correct recipe for elderberry jam. The Ministry of Defence agrees to review the regulations covering the weight of soldiers' kit bags. And despite objections from the Home Office, the Daily Mail goes ahead with the publication of Charles Clarke's christening photo. Good night.